Tamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Gajaranam Bhutaganati Sevitam Kapitya Jambu Palasara Bhakshitam Umasutam Shoka Vinashakaranam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam Apadamapahartaram Dhataram Sarvasampadam Lokaviramam Sriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyam Artanam Artihantaram Bhitanam Bhayanashanam Dishatam Kaladandam Tam Ramachandram Namamyam Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunataya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha Kujantam Rama Rameti Maduram Maduraksharam Arugya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Valmiki Munisimhasya Kavita Vanacharinah Shunman Rama Kathanadam Konayati Param Gatim Goshpati Gatavarisham Mashaki Katarakshasam Ramayana Mahamala Ratnam Vande Nilatmajam Anjananandanam Veeram Janaki Shokanashanam Kapishakshantharam Vande Lanka Bhayankaram Mangal Bhavan Amangal Hari Mangal Bhavan Amangal Hari Rao Sudasharat Achire Vihari Rao Sudasharat Ajire Vihari Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai Kripa Karo Guru Dev Ki Nai Kripa Karo Guru Dev Ki Nai Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai Mangal Bhavan Amangal Hari जनक सुता जग जननी जानकी अतिशय प्रिय करुणा निधान की ताके युगपद कमल मनाहूँ जासु कृपा निर्मल मति पाहूँ. We were with Rama and Lakshmana in the forests of Dandakaranya. We had moved on with them from the spot where Jatayu had breathed his last and was cremated, and then had gone further to first come across that Rakshasi Ayomukhi who Lakshmana made short her nose and her ears. And then we came across that Rakshasa who was but a torso, Kabandha. The ferocious Rakshasa who filled the skies with his bellowing and thundering and his ceaseless eating. And then we saw the scene of Rama and Lakshmana being caught by him, and then they cut off his hands, and then his conversations with them and his request to be burnt by them, and that in his current form he was in no condition to, he was not in any position to have any knowledge beyond that which is available to the senses. And if he is burnt, then perhaps he can help them. And so we saw how Rama and Lakshmana had carried the huge body, pushed it into a huge hollow in the mountain and had set fire to it after piling logs around the body, and how it had burned slowly like a lump of fat, says Valmiki. And then out of that flame had risen the dazzling form of a Gandharva to whom an aerial chariot came in from the sky. He had spoken words of wisdom to Rama and Lakshmana. We saw the first of his part of his advice to them. He had told him that, listen, Rama, he had spoken to him almost in the manner of a counselor speaking to a king. Like Vidura might have spoken to, say, Dhritarashtra had he listened. And he had told him that, listen, there are 6 policies by which a king has to deal with the external world. We saw that. He said, there is the policy of reconciliation, that of war, that of marching, that of taking a position, or that of duplicity, or that of taking the alliance or the protection of another king. And in your current condition, which is pretty pathetic, he said, without mincing much words, to Rama and Lakshmana, you are both in a pretty hopeless state. So, the expedient thing would be to take the alliance of another such king who is also in a similar state, who is also in need of. So when you are striking an alliance with somebody, it should be win-win. Something for him, something for me. I bring something to the table, he brings something to the table. Win-win. So he said, I know that such a person, that person is a great ape, is a king of apes called Sugriva. So he tells the attributes of Sugriva, why he is a great person, why Rama should go, what he should do, where he should go to meet them. He says he stays in a Rishyamukha mountain along with 4 other apes. You should go there and you must meet him and you must strike a friendship with him and you must swear your friendship to him. You must take an oath of loyalty of friendship with him in front of the fire so that you are both mutually loyal to each other. And he also consoles him saying, Rama, you should not grieve. What time is a merciless thing. Nobody can turn time to go against what? The flow that it is taking you through. What must be, must be. What has to happen, will happen. So now that whatever has happened, don't grieve over it. Now what you need to do next is what you must think. And what you need to do next is to go and meet Sugriva and declare your friendship, swear upon it, upon your own weapons to him. Says Kabandha, we saw that last time. To Rama, he is saying all this. And he tells him, listen, Rama, you must also make sure that you do not slight him. You do not speak of him in a manner that he might get a little bit hurt. Never do that. He's a king. He's a king of apes. And he's an ape of gratitude, and he can take any form, and he's as strong as anything. Rama, even if you do not end up being able to be, if you don't end up being of service to him, never worry, he will still do his part of the deal. That is the extent of gratitude that he knows in his heart. So he will find your wife for you. he tells him. He will. He has been to every part of the world for some reason. So therefore he knows every direction, every country, every place. And even if Sita is in the top of Mount Meru or she has been hidden in the depths of the netherworld, Sugriva will send burly apes in every direction and he will find Sita for you. That's where we stopped last time. We continue from there now. So then he gave detailed directions. For some reason the lights are not. It's up at the sky, is it today? Huh? No, because this picture is not very clear. It's okay. Doesn't matter for whatever it's worth. Now, so the Kabanda gave detailed directions to Rama as to how to go to the land where Sugriva is. It's a beautiful description in Ramayana. You can see that. Later he talks about all the different trees on the way. For a person who knows biology or zoology, or it would be a study of much joy. He tells him about the forest that he has to cross, the trees that he would come across, the fruits that he can sustain himself with, etc. And then how he will reach the water body of Pampa. The idea is to reach the water body of Pampa. He tells him about the river or lake Pampa. He says it's a beautiful water body, Rama, that you will not miss. It is free of pebbles and the banks are not at all slippery. The water at the bathing ghats is of moderate height and uniform. There is no moss. And lotus and lilies grow in abundance. To those waters of Pampa resort all sorts of aquatic birds. There will be swans, there will be ducks, there will be curlews, there will be all sorts of birds. And those birds, Rama, they are not afraid of human beings at all. Because they do not know that human beings will slaughter them. So Rama, you may eat those fat birds that are like lumps of ghee. Lakshmana can cook for you. He can cook for you delicious fish. Of the Pampa, which are plump, delicious plump fish of Pampa, which have only one bone. And which he can roast over the fire for you. He can roast over the fire for you. And then he can get you water of Pampa to drink. He can get you water of Pampa which is holy. In plantain leaves, he can get you those water of Pampa for you which are holy, which is not too cold, which is healthy, pure and crystal clear. Rama, and you will see that to the waters of the lake Pampa will come burly apes. Stout apes of remarkable appearance to quench their thirst. They will come there. And you will also see a lot of boars, wild pigs who come there for water. Now you will see trees there with branches covered with flowers and multitudes of different kinds of flowers. In the lake, the waters, you will see different kinds of lotuses and lilies. And if you go there, and when you reach there, you will forget your grief. It will be so beautiful, that place. And one thing about the flowers of Pampa, Rama, in that region, next to the lake, the flowers, you will find something very fascinating about them. Those flowers will never fall from their plants or their trees, and they will never wither. They will never fade. And no human being adorns himself with those flowers or herself with those flowers. There is a reason for this, Rama, for these flowers to be the way they are. That is the region where Matanga Rishi's ashrama is there. And the disciples of Matanga Rishi were all self-controlled sages. And those sages, when they used to go to the forest to bring flowers for use of the worship at the ashrama, for their guru, when they used to bring flowers, the drops of sweat that fell from their bodies on the ground made the ground so pure that whatever grew on them would never wither. That was the power of their tapas, of those sages. Those flowers do not perish, they do not fade, Rama. Tesham gatana madhyapi drishyate parijarini shramani shabari nama kakutstha chirajivini. Rama, those sages have now gone. But even though those sages have all gone, you will see there, and there is seen there even today, a Shramani of name Shabari, who is long lived, who is aged and long lived. Tvam tu dharme sthita nityam sarvabhuta namaskritam drishtva devopamam rama swargalokam gamishyati. Tvam tu dharme sthita nityam sarvabhuta namaskritam. Having seen you, Rama, who are equal to God, and to whom all creatures give their glad homage, having seen you, she who is in constant adherence of dharma, she is waiting to see you, and having seen you, she will go to heaven. Go then to the western bank of Pampa, to the ashrama of Matanga Rishi. You will find that is the region of elephants, and although there are elephants all over that mountainside, none of them will disturb this ashrama. That is in obedience to Matanga's orders. It is a beautiful place. It is obedience to Matanga's orders. Elephants don't come into the ashrama. Right. Elephants are very intelligent animals. If you go to the Nilgiris or the elephant trail right down to Kerala, one of my friends was telling me, for example, there was this huge government farm for Ayurvedic plants and trees growth, which is fortified so the elephants don't enter, but the elephant would still manage to open the gate and come in. This is people, I know of people who electrify. There are lots of people who electrify their farms with high voltage electrified wires. Elephants don't like it, they avoid it, but if they feel irritated, they can use their trunk to break it and walk in. So the trunk doesn't get, it's immune. So, but then Matanga had given them the order not to come inside the ashrama. Like when you hear the story of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, when somebody had come to this ashrama and was going to the pond in the ashrama to have for his ablutions, and one tiger or cheetah or something came. And Bhagavan quickly came there from inside, spoke to that tiger or cheetah saying, don't come now, people will be afraid, and went away. So Matanga had told the elephants not to come. So Kabanda is telling Rama that elephants they won't disturb you there in that ashrama. It's a beautiful place. You will forget all your anxiety when you visit that place. It's a delightful Nandavana. And there are birds of every kind, Rama, in that part of the forest. There's nothing that can make a man as happy as the chirping of birds. Really. And in some sense, we are blessed in India that if you take the trouble of listening to it early in the morning, we can listen to it. Even here in Chennai, beautiful songs of birds. And some of the, and as I have heard others say, and it is true that if you probably look to it, there are two risings of birds in the morning. There'll be the first call, which is very early, around 2 o'clock. You probably will miss it. There's the second rising that around 4 o'clock. Traditional temples, some of them are supposed to start with the first rising of the birds. Be that as it may. So there are birds of every kind, Rama, in the forest. So that was, he's talking about the Matanga ashrama, which he said is in the western side of Pampa. Now he talks about the eastern side of Pampa, on the other side of the lake or river. On the other side is the mountain Rishyamukha. It's full of trees and it is very difficult to climb. It is sheer and it's quite vertical. And that entire mountainside is defended by young snakes. It was created by the Brahma in the far past, and it is a wish-fulfilling mountain, Rama. In that mountain, there's a special thing. Whenever a man or anyone in that mountain is there in that mountain and he sleeps at night, and in his sleep he dreams of a treasure, then when he wakes up, he finds that the treasure is there along with him. He has got it. He has won that treasure. It's a wish-fulfilling mountain. It's not easy for you to decide what to dream and it won't come. Even if you sleep with the thought saying, I want to dream of God, you'll end up dreaming of something stupid. Right. And on the day that you actually done exists, the worst day probably, or some horrible day, you might dream of God as well. You never know when what happens. No reason whatsoever that you can understand. But anyway, in Rishyamukha mountain, if you happen to be sleeping in the night and you dream of some treasure, you wake up, you find it's a wish-fulfilling mountain. But then it is not, that password is not available to everybody. Says Kabanda says in the sense that he says, however, if a evil man goes up the mountain and when he sleeps, then the Rakshasas will pounce upon him. So it has to be a good man and he has to have the luck of dreaming the right thing. Then he gets it. Right. It is a fascinating mountain, Rama. The dwellers in Matanga ashrama, on the Pampa, on this side of the lake, they hear the loud hisses of young serpents as they play on the other side of the mountain. And great elephants, tuskers, dark as a mountain and swift in their movements, they roam all over the mountain. And they have great fights among each other. They smash into each other fighting. And then they come down to river Pampa, and having drunk the pure, clear waters of Pampa, these elephants return to the depths of the forest. And then come to the river, from that side of the mountain, there come bears, there come panthers, there come gurus, all of them of the color of lapis lazuli. They are black and they are shining. And if you see them, they will make you forget your grief, Rama. In that mountain, Rama, there is a great cave. It's a formidable cave, very difficult to find, very difficult to enter. And at the eastern entrance of that cave, there is a big pool of clear water. Many kinds of roots and fruits abound near that cave, Rama. In that cave lives Sugriva. He can be found there. Or he can be found sitting on the mountain top. Sometimes he goes to the top of the mountain and he sits. The powerful Kabanda thus concluded his advice to Rama and said, I am done. And Rama and Lakshmana told him, you may go. So Kamanda said farewell, and may you be successful in your undertaking. And taking leave of them, his body is new in his new form, which had emerged from the fire. Beautiful form, shining like the sun, nothing like what it was before. Horrible form, doing horrible things. The beautiful form, rising the aerial chariot, up in the sky he went, having bid farewell, and suddenly he stopped, he turned, he looked again at Rama, and he said once more from his place in the sky, make friends with Sugriva. Once more, and he left. Taking the route through the forest shown to them by Kabanda, Rama and Lakshmana set out in a westerly direction. I was reading, I got a beautiful picture of a huge Shiva Lingam, which was it's open to the sky in the temple. Massive Shiva Lingam with under a Naga hood made of stone, which I was sharing, and then I wanted to find out where it was, so I looked it up. And then I found out it was in Lepakshi, the Lepakshi temple in Andhra. Beautiful temple. It's about 120 kilometers from Bangalore, in Anantapur district, not far from Puttaparthi, I think. The Vijayanagar kingdom, the amount of architecture in South India that Vijayanagar kingdom has is incredible. Incredible temple, incredible place, and all of that. There's even supposed to be a beautiful hanging pillar there, massive, which you don't know is hanging until the guide actually takes a newspaper or something, puts it under that, takes it out the other way. Fascinating temple, big stories. But then the point I brought that here is that it apparently also got a Ramayana connection from the Sthala Purana point of view. Lepakshi from the Kannada, in the Telugu language apparently is Lepakshi, is rise, bird. That was where Jatayu apparently, Rama told rise after he had cremated. So from the westerly direction, so it's perfectly well in that direction of Hampi, that Pampa, what we call. Now they've come there, they're going there in that direction, and they spend the night in the hills. And the next day they arrived at the western shore of Pampa. They saw the pleasant ashrama of Shabari. They saw Shabari. She was there. Suddenly from out in the forest they had walked in, they saw the forest, and one old aged lady, absolutely brilliant, blazing, old lady. No one else in that forest except this old lady by the western side of the Pampa River, lake. And she saw them. Tau cha drishtva tada siddha samuttaya kritanjalihi Ramasya padau jagraha Lakshmanasya cha dhimata. Tau cha drishtva. On seeing the two of them, Valmiki says about her, sa siddha. She's a Siddha Purusha. Her yoga had borne fruit. She had attained the pinnacle of yoga. Samuttaya Kritanjali. She rose up with folded hands when she saw the two young men walking. Old lady. And straight she went and she clasped the feet of Rama. Jagraha, she simply gathered it. And then she did the same to the sagacious Lakshmana as well. Both their feet. She simply gathered in her hands. That old lady. She got up. Padyama chamaniyam cha sarvam pradad yatha vidhi tamuvacha tato Rama shamanim shamshitavrata. Then as per tradition, she offered them water for them to wash their feet and for them to sip. And all the other customary courtesies. And then Rama asked her, Tamuvacha tato Rama Shramanim Samshita Vratam. He asked her, she who had renounced the world and was observing severe vows. Shramani. Shramani is anchorite, a lady sannyasi, somebody who has renounced the world, who is observing severe vows. Shramam. Current government is Shrameva Jayate. They have made a motto. Hard work is the only way to success. Hard work. Shramana is how in Tamil is Shamana they call. See, in Tamil it has now become the word is commonly used also for Jain and Buddhist ascetics, yatis, sannyasis, who undertake severe mortification of the body as a part of their sadhana. Pulling out the hair as well, all that. Shramana. Very much used in Tamil. Shamana. Shramani, she was one who mortified her body, and that is. Even now, actually, it's quite common. They don't think of it as mortification, etc. Like, for example, my own colleague in my office, his daughter-in-law, they're from a Jain family. During the Bhadrapada month, 15 days of not eating anything. Continuously. Nothing. And there is a tradition, they have method, they have knowledge in those families as to how it's to be done. And how you come out of that 11 days or 12 days of fasting, etc. What you should do, what you should not do, what will you feel, etc. So they do that. And even normal people there, see, thanks to them, at least, when we go on these flights, there's something called Jain meal, something. Thanks to them, there's something which you can get, which you don't have to say, feel foolish to say, I am vegetarian, everybody laugh at you. Jain meal. All over the world, it's accepted now. Declare yourself Jain. Right. So, Shramani, she was there. Samshita Vratam, lots of vows, etc. It's not surprising. No, for none of us, it is a image that is foreign to us. An old lady, a party, who is undertaking severe vows, ill, thin, shining, all the time doing some japam or going to temple, doing that, in every family, a part of tradition you will find. Pretty severe. Writing Ramanama, doing something, they will busy. Except this lady is even farther. She has achieved the pinnacle of yoga. Now she's got hold of Rama's feet. And you see, in Ramayana, in Valmiki Ramayana, you will never find it being mentioned that Rama is a god, or that he says he is a god, or anybody else says he is a god, etc., except in one of few very rare places. Otherwise, even there in those places, he will say, I don't know what you're talking about. As far as I am concerned, I am Dasharatha's son. What do I know what you're talking about? He tells Brahma himself that. He is loath to step outside his human role. And he has forgotten that there is any other role, actually. He's so clued on into what he is in his dharma as the son of Dasharatha. But there are times when you have to read between the lines and find that he very well knows he is Narayana himself. This is one of those times. Because you find a very old lady, an aged lady, a vriddha, tapasi, dharmacharini, siddha lady, blazing with tapasya, coming and catching her feet, and he's not jumping back saying, what are you doing, or something. He completely accepts that. Totally accepts it. And then he asks her a few questions. Beautiful questions. Kacchitte nirjita vignaha, kacchitte vardhate tapah, कच्चित्ते नियतः क्रोध आहारश्च तपोधने कच्चित्ते नियमाः प्राप्ताः कच्चित्ते मनसः सुखं कच्चित्ते गुरुशुश्रूषा सफला चारुभाषिणी कच्चित्ते निर्जिता विघ्ना. Has it happened that all your all your obstacles that you have faced, you have overcome? Has that happened? Kacchitte vardhate tapah. Is it happening that you are making constant progress in your tapasya? Kacchitte niyatah krodha. Has it happened that you have won control over anger? Have you conquered your temper? Aharasya, and your appetite and your tongue. Your temper and your tongue. Tapodhane, oh lady who is rich in tapasya. Yes. Kacchitte niyamaha praptaha. Are all observances of niyamas going on nicely? Practices, vows, all the niyamas that you need to do, anushtanas, they're going on well. Kacchitte manasa sukham. Has your mind achieved serenity? Is there happiness in your mind always? Kacchitte manasa sukham. Kacchitte guru shushrusha safala charu bhashini. She has not yet spoken a word. Except maybe she might have spoken some words of welcome when she offered, which is not told to us by Valmiki. But he calls her Charu Bhashini, oh, you one who speaks beautifully. Of good speech, lovely speech, lady. Old lady. Kachite Guru Shushusha Safala. All the service that you have done to your gurus, have they borne fruit? Guru Kainkari. If you realize, you are lucky to realize that you are a dunce, then the way to go is to just catch hold of the Guru and just do service. One day he will take you across. He'll turn around and say, thank you. What can I do for you? Kacchitte Guru Shushrusha Safala. Yes, sir. रामेण तापसी पृष्टा सा सिद्धा सिद्ध सम्मता शशंस शबरी वृद्धा रामाय प्रत्युपस्थिता. रामेण तापसी पृष्टा. Is the switch on? Can somebody just switch it on? Just put that plug on. The switch on. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, when the tapasi was asked this by Rama, Valmiki says, Sa Siddha, Siddha Sammata. She had attained perfection in yoga. She was Siddha. Siddha Sammata. And she was held in high esteem by all those who had attained perfection in yoga. She answered him. That old lady, Vruddha, she had been asked by Rama a few questions. And he had almost led her to say, your answer will be beautiful, I know that, because you are a Charu Bhashini. The conversations of cultured people is a delight to hear. Absolute delight to hear. Language achieves its richness by those conversations. Any language. Even German, perhaps. Yogi, she is a yogi. Siddha, Siddha Sammata. She's got the highest respect of all yogis as well. This lady, old lady. Do we have somebody like that in our living memory or in our memory in terms of last 1,000 years or 2,000 years like that? Yes, there are. We will come to that. But then, here she is, Shabari in the forest. Adya prapta tapassiddhi. He asked her, how is your tapasya progressing well? He said, today it has achieved fruition. Adya prapta tapassiddhi. Now siddhi has been achieved. Tavasar darshanan maya, by my darshana of you. Today my tapasya has achieved fruition. Adya me safalam taptam guravascha supujita. Today my tapasya has been successful. And my sight, my eyes seeing you today, my gurus have been offered proper worship. He asked her, your guru service, has it borne fruit? He said, only today I am doing service to my guru. Only today, this is my worship of the guru. That I can see you. Kabir said, khule aankh sahab ko dekho. Khule aankh. Closed eyes, sitting in samadhi, seeing, hey, kya hai? Khule aankh sahab ko dekho. She's seeing that. Adya prapta tapassiddhis savadarsanan maya adya me sapalam taptam guravascha supujita adya me sapalam jamma swargaschaiva bhavishyati tvai deva vare Rama pujite purushashabha. Today, upon my having offered worship to you, my life has achieved fruition and heavens have been attained. Chakshusha tava saumyena utasmi raghunandana gamishyam akshayan lokan tvat prasadadarindama. And by your seeing me, O Saumya, she calls him Saumya, meaning a soft child. Soft child. Is whom called Saumya. Young boy, soft, little old lady. By your seeing me, I have been cleansed. Putasmi. They say, no, the old lady who could practically blind, she insisted on coming every day to ashram and serve something. She'll bring from her house and serve to Ramana Maharshi, and when she was eating and go, and people said, why at this age of life you're doing this, you can't see, why are you taking trouble? She says, what if I can't see? I want him to see me. I can't see means what? Some people, like when we went on the Kailash Yatra, it was so crowded that you could hardly see except 1 or 2 times or 3 times maybe. And one of the persons was so depressed. He said, what did I do wrong in my life? I do not see enough. What could one say? I told the story to him, he saw you. No? The cloud doesn't stop him from seeing. And he didn't realize, at that time he did not realize, he had actually broken a few ribs, which he realized only after he reached back to his home in Australia. Where did that strength come from? Chakshusha tava saumyena putasmi raghunandana. Oh, delight of Raghus, by your seeing me, I have been totally cleansed. I have been purified. And I will now go to imperishable worlds by your grace, O subduer of foe. She tells him. She's then goes on and tells him, Rama, when you were in Chitrakuta, those whom I served here, the sages, they left this earth and they went to heaven in aerial cars of incomparable splendor. And those sages who knew Dharma and who were supremely blessed, even as they left, they told me, Shabari, you have to stay. Rama will be coming this way. He will be coming to this very hermitage of yours. This very holy hermitage of yours, he will be coming. He will come here as an Atithi. And he will come with his brother Saumitri. And you should offer him all honor and entertain him properly in the manner. And having seen him, you will attain moksha. You will attain Akshaya Loka, imperishable worlds. And you will attain all bliss. They told me this as they went. So Rama, for your use, I have been collecting different kinds of forest produce that grow in the banks of Pampa or tiger among men. Thus told by Shabari. The Valmiki says, Dharmatma Rama answered her. Answered her to whom? Here again he gives another adjective to her. Vijnanetam nityam abhishkratam. She was one to whom the past and the future held no secrets. He answered her. And he told her, I have heard from Danu. Danu is the Gandharva name of Kabandha. So in Rama's mind, the Rakshasa Kabandha doesn't exist. He has no memory of him. Only Danu. I heard from Danu, he tells her, of the greatness of the Mahatmas whom you served here. I would like to see with my own eyes, Pratyaksham. I would very much like to see, if I may, something of their achievements, of their prabhava. So the pratyaksham ichhami sandrashtum yadi manyase. If I may, if you will, please show me something of the prabhava of those Mahatmas whom you served here. I would very much like to see with my own eyes, says Rama. She says, come. So she takes the two of them across the wood, showing them the different places. And she tells them, look at this place, Rama, which is shining like black rain clouds, and which is abounding in birds and beasts. This place is known as Matanga Vana, the forest of Matanga. Rama, here the great sages, my gurus, who had meditated on the self, they offered oblations into the Vedi, in the fire sacrifice, in the Homakundams. Those Vedis which had been fortified by the mantras of the sages. It's like a firewall, they say. If you read the traditions of the Aghoras and the others, the sages, some of the sages of North India, they go nowhere without their dhuni. Wherever they sit down, put down camp, light the dhuni. Very Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says this thing. Totapuri came. He was his guru of Advaita, he had a dhuni. And the dhuni is a powerful presence. Nothing evil can come near it. It's fortified. So she says, look at this. She shows them the Vedis where the sacrifices were offered, and she tells him, look at that Vedi to the west, on which they, the sages whom I served with ardor, they offered flowers. And those flowers, they offered with hands that trembled with age. And fatigue and tiredness. See how that Vedi is still blazing, it's still shining, it has still got luster. It is splendor, splendorous. That Vedi is still illuminating all the directions by the virtue of the power of the tapas. This is the altar, this is the Vedi where they offered those flowers. And see, just have a look, those flowers are still there and they have not faded. None of those flowers they offered, it's a few years. They have not faded, they're still there. And here you will note, she points to somewhere, something, and she says, here you will note are where the 7 seas all come together. The 7 seas come together because the sages who were too weak and too tired from fasting, they could not go to the 7 seas for bathing, so they thought of them with longing. So they came here. And they would take bath in those waters. See, water bath is very holy. Easy to do here. The tree barks that they hung on the trees after they had had their bath. Have a look, Rama, look at those tree barks. They hung it on those trees after they had the bath. It is still wet. It has not dried. He had said, show me some of the prabhava of those Mahatmas. She's showing. Now you have seen the entire woods, Rama. I have shown you everything. I have told you all that you wanted to hear. I'm done. I now wish to discard this body. I wish to discard this body with your permission. I wish to go and join those sages who had realized the self, whose ashrama this is, and whom I served, and whose attendant I was. Hearing these words of Dharma, Rama and Lakshmana were so happy that they exclaimed to her, Ascharyam Tattvataha. How wonderful, truly wonderful, they told her. Tamuvacha tato Rama Shramanim Samshitavratam Architoham Tvaya Bhaktya Gachchakamam Yatha Sukham. Rama then spoke to her, to that lady, Shramani, who had renounced the world. Architoham Tvaya, I have been offered worship by you, very devoutly. Gachchakamam yatha sukham. Go where you desire. Where whatever gives you happiness, you may go. Probably didn't know that Valmiki will quote him later, but he said that. This pronouncement of a god. Nityukta jatila vriddha Chirakrishna jinambara Tasmin muhurtam Shabari deham jirnam jihasati Arungyata turamena Hutvatmanam hutashane Jwalat pavaka sankasha Swargameva jagamasa. Thus permitted, Shabari, the old woman with matted hair, clad in tree bark and deer skin, decided to discard her worn-out body without wasting any further time. Tasmin muhurte, that time. having up Hutvatmanam. I take it that she, in the yogic fire that she kindled in her body. She went to heaven blazing like a fire. How was she? Here again some ethereal form is described by Valmiki. Divyabharana samyukta, Divyamalyānulepana, Divyambaradhara, Tatra babhuva priyadarshana, Virajayanti tam desham, Vidyut saudamini yatha. That ethereal form that emerged from the fire, that she had reduced her body to nothing. From that fire emerged an ethereal form, which was adorned with beautiful ornaments. Divyabharana samyukta. Divyamalyānulepana, divine garlands, divine fragrances. Beautiful, divine dress. Divyambaradhara. Babhuva priyadarshana. She was very pleasing to look at. Priyadarshana. She stood transformed, a pleasing sight, lighting up that region, like lightning that plays with the Sudama mountain, says Valmiki. Yatra te sukritatmano viharanti maharshaya tat punyam Shabari sthanam jagamatma samadhina. These are words of power which communicate the steady state of supreme state of self-knowledge as a truth experienced and communicated exactly the same way for all the thousands of years in India. Yatra te sukritatmano viharanti maharshaya tatpunyam Shabari sthanam jagam atma samadhina. Shabari went by the dint of atma samadhi, with absorption in the self. She went by the dint of atma samadhi to the world where the great sages who had realized the self had gone and attained bliss. This is the story. This is where the story of Shabari ends in Valmiki Ramayana. There are a few related points that I thought I would tell, but we will do that in the next session. Har Namah Parvati Pataye
Har Mahadeva
Janaki Kanta Smaranam
Jai Jai Rama Rama
Gopika Jivana Smaranam
Govinda Govinda
Vetrivel Muruganukku
Har Haro Hara
Shri Sadguru Swamina
Jai
Shri Anjaneya Swamina.
Jai.
Thank you.
Shabri ke bear didn't, oh, that story is
That's not there.